call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the January 31st, 2023 meeting of the Public Works Committee. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name. I see no one. At this time, I ask that all electronic devices be placed into silent mode. In attendance today, we have Councilor Squalia and Councilor Schultz and myself, Councilor Fleming. If the body has if anybody wishes to speak, please wait till your item is called and we'll bring you up to the microphone. Okay, so let's begin. So, first item on the agenda, voting to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which was in October.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
We did get those, right? I feel like we got them a while ago and I read them and they were fine.
Yeah, they were sent out a while back. I've got a single copy of them here if anyone needs to review them.
I'm pretty sure I read those.
I think we reviewed them back then.
They're on file in the clerk's office if need be.
Okay. Motion passed. Second item on the agenda is to approve the dates of the upcoming Public Works Committee for 2023.
I have an issue with one date,
Okay.
Which one is that?
October 31st, which is Halloween. Probably not a good night to have a meeting that night.
I agree. Good
We make it the
call.
24th. Can we make it the 24th instead?
I will have to see what other meetings are going on.
Well, the council is not meeting that date, so.
Yeah, but
There
I
might be
know,
other meetings.
we'll check. It could be, we may have to do it on a Wednesday because I know we have the planning board meets and the zoning. They meet different Tuesdays.
I'm not
and
usually
Wednesdays are
available on a
off.
Wednesday.
Well,
I'm available on a Tuesday.
Wednesdays are finance and airport
Yeah,
commission
yeah, it should be
and
a
water,
Tuesday.
wastewater.
So hopefully look for a Tuesday. I think 24th may be the only one, because I think we're meeting on the 17th, the city council, so.
Okay.
We'll have to check the calendar, but we can find an alternative date. If need be, we could use the West Meeting Room. The crowd that this meeting draws is typically a little bit smaller than, like, say, a city council meeting. So either East or West, and I believe FATV has the ability to help us out with televising that if we need to use one of those rooms.
All right.
Yeah,
I
we
did
have a
see
new
that.
owl.
And I guess I didn't have kids, so I didn't think of that. You know, it's Halloween.
Yep. Good call.
Okay, so we will hold to approve that for the next meeting. The minutes, the dates. DPW updates.
So do you need to make a motion to hold until the next meeting?
I would move that we approve all of the dates pending the Tuesday, October date to change to potentially the 24th.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay. So for this meeting's DPW updates, I wanted to focus on snow and ice since we're right in the middle of snow and ice season. And that's definitely a big change since our last meeting in October of last year. So we've been hit with a few relatively small in the grand scheme of things, but still equally as annoying and frustrating storms just because of the amount of rain that we've received. Mr. Kettle, sitting in the audience here, has had major damage to his property from a rainstorm that happened right before Christmas. And we've been fighting with snow and ice kind of ever since. So most recently last week, we had a massive storm that downed a lot of trees. So we've had 2 crews out since then, almost every day, essentially, filling in potholes and picking up trees. There are 2 crews for each of those tasks. And so we're going to continue with those tasks for the foreseeable future. We're estimating it'll be another couple of weeks before we make it through the entire city to clean up trees. Potholes are just never ending given the freeze thaw that we've had. It's gotten really cold and then warm and then cold again, and it's just absolutely wreaking havoc on the streets. So we've got pothole crews out in full force. We'll continue cleaning trees as quickly as we can. Like I said, estimated to be another couple of weeks before we make it through the whole city. We're moving through the city in a clockwise fashion, starting with, the South Street area. So if residents have not gotten trees picked up on their street yet, I'd urge them to just be a little bit patient. We will get there eventually. And if there's any areas between South Street and I think they're out on Mount Vernon Street right now, if there's any residents in between those areas that still have trees down in front of their houses, then call DPW. We'll get back there to clean it up. Hopefully we've hit everything in that area right now.
Hopefully, we don't have another storm.
Hopefully not.
Maybe all those trees are down.
Yeah, it is going to get really cold at the end of this week.
Yeah.
So we've got really high groundwater. We've got some ponding in some areas, so it's all going to freeze. It's going to be a frozen nightmare for us. So we'll be out salting and sanding. But with the high groundwater, it comes potholes as soon as it freezes and then thaws again. One more plowable snow event and all that, all the pothole filling that we've done will probably be ripped out of the ground and pushed off to the side of the road. So it's unfortunate, but we're doing the best that we can with the amount of people that we have, really.
Are we fully staffed for Public Works now? Are we still short?
So the Streets Division has a couple of vacancies that we're working to fill right now, especially at the working foreman level. So we've gotten applicants in. That job has been posted, and we're looking to conduct interviews relatively soon. I don't believe you have any other vacancies in the Streets Division, aside from the foreman level.
Correct.
What did you say was, what are you advertising?
We already advertised for working foreman for the Streets Division. We've got several internal applicants, and we're conducting interviews on those. So once those positions are filled, then we'll have to backfill any positions that are left open there with other new hires. So I guess the short answer is there are a couple of vacancies that we're working on filling.
Okay. Anything you want?
There are more vacancies throughout the rest of DPW, but that is a little bit less impactful on the snow and ice operations. Particularly in the Water Division, they've got quite a number of vacancies.
Yeah, I have seen the postings for that.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 4 new petitions for review. 28022, Councilor Bernie Schultz to request a paving of a small stretch of sidewalk on Charles Street from the corner of Forest Street. The sidewalk exists to the side of 44 Forest Street. Paving the sidewalk would allow nearby residents to remove the snow from their sidewalk in the winter with a snow blower.
The homeowner actually called me. I went up, took a look at it. I asked him to call Councilor Schultz and put in this petition.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does warrant a sidewalk. So me and Gary are in support of this petition here.
Move to approve 28022?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Obviously, we can't install that sidewalk right now, but we'll add it to the queue that we have. There is quite a bit of outstanding sidewalk and berm work that we need to do this coming year. So we'll add it to the queue.
$281.22, Councilor Marisa Fleming on behalf of Ronald Varney of 45 Clinton Street to repair the damaged sidewalk in front of his home caused from uprooted trees. That's a mess up there.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
we did take a look, and it does need a new sidewalk.
Yeah, it's actually affecting his wall, too. So, okay.
So what was the address on that one?
45 Clinton Street,
So 45 is right on the corner.
right on the corner.
Then across the intersection on the other corner, there's also a house that has a wall. And the resident or the property owner actually dug up the sidewalk when they installed that wall, but never put the sidewalk back. So Gary and I were a little bit confused as to which house it was. We just
Yes,
wanted to
the one right on
confirm
the
it was
corner, It's got a
45.
big tree in front of it, and it's just, I think it's actually the second set of panels. I did send pictures along.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it
okay.
was almost like walking down steps, but in that one slab.
Okay.
So,
And I wonder if there's any way to have that property owner that installed the wall years ago actually repair the sidewalk, but I think we might be beyond the statute of limitations on
Yes,
that
that
one.
was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this will be put on the list, but no date because we have a backlog.
Right.
Move to approve 28122.
Second.
It's approved. 1323, Counselor Mark Natale and Andrew Kuchar on behalf of Mark Balfi to inspect and seek a remedy to a recurring water runoff problem occurring at 178 Stickney Road, including a probable installation and/or a repair berm to the right of the driveway, water entering property and causing significant water damage. And were you up there today?
Not today. I've been out to that site, though. The resident that lives there was looking to relocate his curb cut at one point a couple of years ago. So we approved a permit for him to do so. If you're looking at his existing driveway, he wanted to shift it over to the left to make it a more gradual slope down into his parking area there. And as part of that, he had agreed to install a berm to block off his old driveway entrance. But since then, all the runoff that we've gotten has kind of further eroded his driveway, and it's getting to the point where it's almost unusable now. And he hasn't had a chance to fully execute his plan to relocate that driveway. It seems like every time he makes a little bit of progress, we get a large rainstorm, and it all washes out and washes down into his septic area and his leach field, and it's just a big mess. So I think we need to install something out there to control the runoff better. Certainly a berm. I think in the current location of the driveway, an apron to stop the runoff from entering the driveway is going to be a little bit tough to actually accomplish, just because it's going to be this big mound and then an immediate drop off, and he might have some trouble getting in there with his vehicles. So I'd like to propose that the resident kind of follow through with the plan of relocating his driveway with some assistance from DPW, and at the same time we can install the berm and apron to control runoff going down into his property. And there's also a little section of erosion kind of in between his property and a new house that's right out there to the left, and it's causing the wall that's holding up the road to start to fail and wash out. So I think we need to repair that around the same time that we do this work.
That was going to be my question. With all the building that's going on up there, is that some cause of the problem where the water is just, there's nothing to absorb the water anymore because now there's foundations and houses and trees are gone?
Well, and this one spot is uphill of the new house that went in, so I don't think the new house has any impact on this particular issue. I think this resident, unfortunately, has been fighting this issue for a long time. I believe he applied for that driveway permit back in 2020, so this has been an ongoing issue for at least a couple of years since it was brought to our attention. So I would like it to get it resolved. I do feel for the property owner who's been dealing with this for an extended period of time.
Councilor Squire?
So the driveway is currently uphill of where he wants it.
Yeah.
And what's the but he's going to move the driveway, but not yet. And so where's the damage occurring?
So the water runs down the road and basically enters his driveway on the existing driveway on the uphill side. But there's so much water there coming off the hill that it's also breaking out from the slope into his driveway, coming across his driveway and washing down the hill into his septic system area.
So, but he's got a permit to move the driveway downhill.
Further downhill, yep.
And so where would we be putting a berm now?
So the berm would run from the existing berm further uphill down beyond his existing curb cut to where he's proposing his driveway. And then it would be open from that point across his new driveway, and then start from there beyond the low point to approximately where that new house's driveway is.
So we're putting the berm where the existing driveway cut is, and then working with him to install the apron and berm for his new driveway.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's a little low spot there, so the water's going to want somewhere to go. So we're going to have to figure out how to get that water safely down the slope so as not to cause erosion and beyond his leach field. So there's going to need to be some cooperation from the property owner on how to get that water from the low spot on the roadway to the woods behind his house. So hopefully he can work with us on that. but I think we do need to help him out because it is road runoff that's contributing to his issue out there.
All right.
Okay, so just approve
Yep.
1323 as written? Or would you suggest modifying it in any way?
I would suggest as written, and then we can work directly with the property owner when he's ready to get the work done.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Okay, it's approved. And our final item on the agenda, 1423, Councilor Marcus Vitale and Andrew Kuchar to install a new street light where appropriate along McIntyre Road, where new home development are taking up place on the corner of Alpine Road. And I do have somebody wishing to speak on this.
Chair Fleming, City Councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I believe you all know me, Peter Kettle, 44 McIntyre Road. We've been living in that area for over 20 years now, and we were fortunate enough to come to Fitchburg to live in a rural area. And it says here where appropriate on the actual document, but I believe they are where appropriate because there's one on the street linking Williams and one on the street linking Alpine. Now, we love the rural area, and I mean, the commission, the councillors make the decision of where they're going to go, but I would not like to see them there, and other people on the street as well. So, you know, it's just that the new houses have gone in there, and there's 7 new houses, and when we went in, we were scared about security because we were living out in the rural area. So we purchased lights and put them on the side of the house, spotlights. If anything comes in, they go on and off. So why can't somebody do that to their own premises? Why do we have to have street lights? So thank you, and I will sit down. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak to this?
I didn't speak to anyone on the street other than hearing from Peter Kettle, so I'm not,
Me neither. I didn't hear from anyone.
I didn't, but I'm just going to give my own opinion. Living in rural residential is, I don't think it's appropriate to put a lot of lights up where rural residential neighborhood is. People move there for a specific reason. And, you know, the minute you start putting lights up, it just changes the whole dynamic of the area.
well, let me ask the DPW, are the proposed lights, wherever they are, do you feel like there's any locations along the new home development area that are appropriate?
I think the only locations that would be appropriate would be at the intersections, like Mr. Kettle suggested. And there's already lights there, so I don't see the need to add any more, really. You know, I agree that it's a rural residential area. People move there to be out in the woods, you know, quiet, away from the city. So if we're adding lights, it's kind of it's counterintuitive to the reasons, I think, why people move out there. Having grown up on Williams Road, right down the road from here, you know, I think that kind of just cements my belief that it's not really an appropriate area for street lights every other pole like we have down here in the city. The other thing I'd like to mention is that it is a scenic road. Typically that deals with trees. So if anyone wants to take out a tree that's within the public right-of-way along that road, it has to get planning board approval. Likewise, if anyone wants to modify one of the stone boundary walls along the road, has to get planning board approval. So I would see this kind of working hand in hand with the Scenic Road Act. Lights aren't exactly something that you typically see on a scenic road. It's more of a natural setting that you're trying to preserve there. So that's my opinion on it. Again, I don't live out there, so I don't know if I have any real skin in the game, so to speak, but I think the problem areas would be the intersections or areas where we have, you know, potential illegal dumping or nefarious activity taking place. And I would see that particularly at the intersection of Alpine and McIntyre, where we used to have a lot of dumping. There's since been a house that's gone in there. I've talked to that property owner. He's had some illegal activity that happens in that little dead end at the end of McIntyre, right at the intersection with Alpine. He's installed some lights. He's installed his own gate. We've put some rocks out there to block people from going down the wooded portion, and that seems to have helped. But I don't think additional lights are warranted in this area.
I also think that the person who asked them to submit this petition probably should have come in and give their
I
reasoning.
was just going to say that, yeah.
Why
Who are
they
who are the
wanted
people that want
lights
these
up there.
lights, yeah.
So with that being
I would
said,
move to give 1423 leave to withdraw.
I'll second that.
and I will third that. The motion's approved. Okay, and these are some petitions that were held. We did this evening receive some documentation and technical information regarding a couple of these that were held, and we've not had a chance to read them.
Yeah, I would like to hold 08920 and 09322 so that we can read the memos, and then we'll come back to the next meeting with
Yeah.
questions.
I'll second that motion.
So I do want to point out that the memos are not, they don't include the actual data from the software program that they use for these analyses. So that's 50, 60 pages each. I figured you didn't necessarily want to look at a bunch of tables that you didn't really have any interest in. So if you want to access that data, let me know. I can email it to you. But this is the nuts and bolts of it anyways. It gives the general overview, the analysis, recommendations, conclusions, and all that.
Is that data like number of cars traveled, like
Yeah,
date-
it's
like time of day,
traffic
date?
counts and synchro workbooks and all that stuff.
Okay.
So if you want it, I'm happy to provide it. I just didn't feel it was a good use of paper.
Oh, yeah, so we can request it and have it emailed to us.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. I'll send it over to you.
Okay, and we have two more that were held. 24322, City Councilor Bernie Schultz and Judy Perler of 236 Walton Street to install a yield sign at pole 1615 facing out on Monroe Street at the intersection of Fairbanks and Monroe Streets to improve traffic safety when motorists depart from South Street Elementary.
So this was taken up at Public Safety, too, and Sergeant Boudreau said that if we were to install any kind of sign, it probably should be on Fairbanks going down the hill. So, but that's where we were at, maybe a caution sign, not a yield sign. So that was the last thing we heard at Public Safety. So I don't know if it'll be taken up again at Public Safety or not. So.
Yeah, Councillor Boschman seemed pretty adamant that he was against this, and then when Sergeant Boudreau was speaking and talking about it wouldn't actually be on Fairbanks, or it wouldn't actually be on Monroe.
Street.
It would actually be on Fairbanks, and then there was a discussion, well, that doesn't even solve the problem. So it didn't really seem like didn't really seem like anyone had a great solution. They kind of kicked it to us.
Yeah, and I think the schools still have some outstanding tree removal work to do there. We relocated a catch basin to make some room for potentially pushing the curb line back there and improving the intersection. And until that tree removal is done, we're kind of stuck waiting. So I think that needs to happen before we can push the curb line back and install the yield sign and all that.
There's also an old fence there that they were talking about maybe
Right.
taking down, so we could push the curb back.
Right.
Oh, I remember Sergeant Boudreau was trying to reach out to the schools, but he wasn't able to get a response from the schools in a timely fashion before the meeting.
Right. And I think we're still stuck waiting for a response from the schools, as far as I know.
So would you suggest that we hold this, or?
Yes.
I would, yeah. I'd like to try to follow up again with Sergeant Boudreau and the schools, see if we can get any movement on that. It is the winter time now. I don't know if they have the resources to dedicate to the tree removal right now, or if they'd prefer to wait till spring. So I'd recommend that we hold this one too.
So we hold 24322.
I'll second that.
And I will third that. And our final item that was held, 24422, City Councilor Derek Cruz on behalf of Tyrone and Sheila Tynes, residents of Clyde Street. I request that the City of Fitchburg implement either no parking from here to corner or no parking signs at the corner of Hancock and Summer Street, an appropriate distance on both sides, as residents exiting Hancock Street cannot see past the row of cars parked there. It has become a public safety concern. And this was held from September and October of 2022.
And this, I'm pretty sure they held it in public safety specifically so that Sergeant Boudreau could find out more information.
Correct.
Something about the distance that the cars are parking. Councillor Boschman was very adamant that whatever the distance that they were talking about, 50 feet, or that wasn't going to work because there was lots of demand for parking cars, and then we'd have to do it at every intersection in the city. And then Sergeant
recall that.
Boudreau was going to, check the sight lines of particular distances from the intersection.
Because we had one at Charles and Forest where we did go, you remember that?
Yep.
Commissioner, where we did go 50 feet, but yeah, it's true that we don't want to go 50 feet at every intersection because that would take away too much valuable
Much, yeah.
parking.
Right, and if I recall correctly, I believe that 50-foot distance needs an ordinance change.
Yes.
But I think if it's 20 feet or less, it does not need an ordinance change. So I think that was kind of factoring into the decision, too.
So we should hold this pending
Because we did hear
Sergeant Boudreau?
we did hear from some of the residents at the city council meeting on that particular petition, so they were here in force.
Okay.
So move that we hold 24422.
I'll second that.
I will third that. We're all in agreement.
Move that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
I will third that.
I will fourth that. Sorry to be late.
I have some handouts for you.